Victory is mine. I am now the proud owner of a shared tic-tac-toe trophy at my address 0x6191B24E0A03B5117. This object does not show up in my wallet. Point is, I deployed a game, now I'm playing it on SWE Explorer. And I'm going to show you in this lesson how to do that. Here's our package that we deployed. Let me show you what it is and where I found it. I went to Miston Labs GitHub repository. They are the company that's making SWE. So SWE, this one didn't work for me. These examples, they didn't compile, but I found these ones that did work for me. You go in their repository and the SWE programmability examples games. This is the folder that you can run. So I'll show you how to do it. You need to install SWE, and it's kind of hard, and so yeah, this lesson might not exactly be for everybody until my boy at Move Studio gets that going again. But yeah, I went through the trouble of installing the SWE binaries, and it was pretty crazy, but I got through it. I'll show you how I did it. Go to SWE, and then you go to code, local, and then download the zip file. And then you download that onto your computer. It's going to take a long time. You go to your downloads, and oh yeah, I downloaded an Eggy. And then I think it's going to come as SWE main, and it'll be zipped, and you just extract it, and then you do stuff with SWE move and SWE client. I'll show you how to download SWE next, but just so you know, what you're going to do is you go into the folder. That's the one I just showed you on GitHub, but you just do it on your computer. And the SWE main, SWE programmability, examples, games, and then you do SWE client publish gas budget 2 times 10 to the 7th. I did skip dependency verification because there was some kind of issue with dependencies that came up, and they said if I run it with skip dependency verification, then it should work. I highly recommend putting in the time to install your own node or access to a node. I don't think I'm actually running a full node. I think I just have RPC access to a full node. Okay, prerequisites. There's all this stuff. Blah, blah, blah. And you can just see what you need. And all this stuff, if you don't know about computers, it's just kind of a pain to install. But once you get it done, you get to do all this cool stuff. This is the command to do after you get all this other stuff installed. And then you finally do this, and then it'll take hours and hours and hours. And if something goes wrong, at least for my computer, it took hours. I'm only running like 8 gigs of RAM on this machine. It's not the most like high-powered machine. It might be a lot quicker for you. After you get all this installed, you should be able to do something like SWE version. Yeah, so I have version SWE 1.11. You could run like SWE move build, and that should compile the move, and there you go. So the way that folder is structured, you can see over at GitHub. So this games folder is a move package ready to go, and you can tell because it's got this move.toml file, and that says the package information, including its name, version, dependencies, and then addresses. If you're in this folder and it's structured like this with this sources folder and a toml file, so it's a SWE client publish, and if you need help, you see it'll tell you all the stuff. That's one really cool thing about the command line. That one I think you do H. See that it says all the stuff. You can start a network, you do a genesis, initialize a new SWE network, or you can have a client. You have the move tool for building a move, testing move out application. So you could be like SWE move test, for example, and it'll run all those tests in the tests folder. You got all these tests for at least some of the games here, showing you how to do testing, which is unit testing. It sort of goes through and tests each function or different things in the move file. All right, so it says total tests 11, passed 11, failed 0. Boom. And then we deployed, so we use the command SWI client publish. I got a warning, something about dependencies, and then I said to skip it. We had the effects. First of all, success, just more success in my life. And then created objects. Now it says owner immutable. These immutable ones are the contracts. So I copied and pasted. See this OX287F5? That's this one, this first one. That's this package. So when I say there's no front end, right, you can play without a front end. What I mean is you don't need to build a front end in order to play a game. Any of these games, you could play it as long as you know how they work. Why don't we click on Shared Tic-Tac-Toe? It's a rewrite of Tic-Tac-Toe using a completely different approach. In Tic-Tac-Toe, since the game object is owned by the admin, the players are not able to directly mutate the game board. Hence, each marker placement takes 2 transactions. In this implementation, we make the game object a shared object. Both players have access and can mutate the game object, and hence they can place markers directly in one transaction. In general, using a shared object has an extra cost due to the fact that SWI needs to sequence the operations that mutate the shared objects from different transactions. In this case, however, since it is expected for players to take turns to place the marker, there won't be a significant overhead in practice. As we can see, by using shared object, the implementation is much simpler than the other one. That really makes it even more kind of all on chain, cutting out the admin. And maybe some games it might be better to have an admin, but yeah, I really like this shared tic-tac-toe design. Now, if we look at the game, Tic-Tac-Toe game has an ID, it has a game board, which is a vector of vectors of numbers. U8 is 2 to the 8th, because it's made of zeros and ones, so it can go up from 0 to 255. So if you only need numbers up to 255, then you can use a U8. Then the current turn, that's also a U8. Then the X address and the O address, and then a trophy. Game board vector, it's a vector, but then it has 3 other vectors, and then they have mark empty in there. So the value starts at 2, but then it'll probably be like when people play, it'll either be a 0 or a 1, depending on who played there. You know, an X is probably 0, O is probably 1. So this is a row, and a row. You can change the view if you want. We can execute the different public entry function. Create game. See, that's public entry function. Delete game. And public entry function. Delete trophy. Get status is not an entry function. So see, that doesn't show up there. That's not one we can use. Public means it could be called from other modules, but entry means it can be called through transactions. And then lastly, we have place mark, which is a public entry function. So all the public entry functions are right here. So create game, I'm going to go to my Ethos wallet here. All right, now I have my wallet set to Devnet under network. Okay, so we're just playing on Devnet here because we're building, and so we're not going to just put something on mainnet without testing it on DevNet or testnet first. I've already connected this wallet. Usually there's a button that says like connect, but I already see here I'm connected with this wallet. I'm going to have it be this wallet playing against itself just to keep it simple. Just play me versus me. Click execute. Just going to bring up the wallet here. Check my transaction. 0.003, very affordable here. And if you had any issues with it not working, maybe try refreshing the page or something like that. We created this object here. I'm going to control click there, and then it updated another object. So we created here literally a shared tic-tac-toe, a struct that is our game. It fills it up with a specific information for this specific game that we're playing when we create a game. Since there's no front end, I just want to keep track of the game board. So maybe we'll do like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Have a few rows here. Okay. Current turn 0. So that's probably X. We do our game object here, the OXFF. There you go. All right. Did it automatically update it? The game board. If we refresh the page, yeah. Okay. Looks like that was the upper left corner. See? 0. So now X has got a mark placed there. That's like an X. If there's a 0, that's like X. All right. Now it's O's turn. So maybe O wants to go in the middle. So that would be 1, 1, right? The second row, second column. Okay, cool. So 0, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. That's the middle square. You could go in Notepad here and just mark it up. So it's basically like this. X, O. Let's just make X win here. It's X's turn right now. Isn't this awesome? We're actually playing a game on a blockchain without even using a front end other than this SWE Explorer. Like, we didn't have to build a game front end ourselves. So it's the row, then the column. You can think of it more like X going across the top of the first row. I'm going to make O not very good at this game and say it's going to do row 2 in the first column. Now X is also going across the top. It's X's turn. We do top row, column 2. I want to show you like the objects in this wallet, okay? Because this is a new wallet that I just created just for this tutorial. And there's no NFTs in here. But if we check this address, we can see that there is this one asset here, and it is a trophy, okay? So I just want to show that the owned assets, here it is calling it an NFT. It's not showing up in a wallet because apparently it's not supposed to be stored. So let's keep this up, and then X should win another trophy. So the top row, 0, 0, 0. So now if I refresh SWE Explorer for this, yeah, see, look, there's another trophy. So this was the first trophy, and then here's another trophy. Now, there's no information attached to these trophies. It's literally just, I mean, talk about a token being a token. It just has ID. No two values of type UID will ever have the same underlying sets of bytes. So that is how you can play and test your game on SWE Explorer, and that's also how you can sort of cut your teeth with getting into the SWE client. I think it's really good to have SWE client experience in the command line interface, kind of like lifting up the hood of your car and you kind of see how things work. It doesn't mean that you need to become an auto mechanic, just like how it doesn't mean you need to become some hardcore, super shadowy developer who's like actually building the blockchain, even if you don't even want to build a front end. I just showed you how we can play a game. And this is a 2-player game, so if we were playing against each other, one of us could start a game and say, hey, I started a game. It's object 0xffb, you know, and cut and paste the object ID, and then we could just play without building a separate app. And this is a great way to test apps, and it's just a way to give you a feeling of doing something. Like, I'm excited that I did this. I really played a real game, and I didn't have to build out a whole front end. I just played a game on the blockchain, and you can too. If you wanted to build a front end for this game, now we've sort of shown that it works on the blockchain. So this is great for testing and is a good step in being a builder. You can actually play a real game. Like, look, here's our game board. Boom, 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 boom. In the next one, we're going to look at modifying this code so the game trophy can actually show up in our Ethos wallet. Alrighty. Talk to you soon. Peace.